The warning. The orbital platforms around Earth burned like dying stars against the black canvas of space. Commander Lyra Chen watched the destruction from the reinforced bunker deep beneath New Geneva, her face illuminated by the harsh blue light of emergency screens. Silence had fallen over the command center as the final casualty reports streamed in. 8 million dead in the first wave. Another 12 million in the coordinated strikes that followed. Humanity had never known such devastation. Status report on the Arcturus defense grid, Chen demanded, her voice steadied despite the weight crushing down on her chest. Major Kato stepped forward, his uniform singed at the edges from his narrow escape from the Singapore command center. 70% of our orbital defenses are offline. The lunar colonies have gone dark. Mars outpost is maintaining communications but reports 3 enemy vessels in high orbit. Chen nodded, absorbing the information with practiced calm. At 43, she had risen through the ranks of the United Earth Defense Force, with a reputation for level-headed strategy. But nothing in her 20 years of service had prepared her for this. An enemy that appeared without warning, struck without mercy, and disappeared without demands. And the aliens? She asked. Dr. Emerson, the head xenologist, pushed her glasses up with a trembling hand. Still no response to any communication attempts. Their ships maintained position at the edge of our solar system, just beyond Jupiter's orbit. The wall of screens showed the alien fleet, sleek obsidian vessels that absorbed rather than reflected light, shaped like elongated teardrops with strange protrusions that pulsed with a violet energy. The attack had come 6 days ago, without warning or apparent provocation. The first strike targeted Earth's largest space stations. The second wave hit major cities. The third eliminated key military installations worldwide. "They're waiting," General Okafor said, his deep voice breaking the momentary silence. "Testing our response capabilities before the next assault." Chen moved to the central holographic display, activating the tactical overlay with a swift gesture. The 3-dimensional map of the solar system appeared, showing the positions of both human and alien vessels. They could have obliterated us completely if that was their goal. This is methodical. Calculated. "A test?" asked Dr. Emerson. "Or a message?" Chen replied. "Show me the attack pattern analysis again." The hologram shifted, displaying a time-lapse of the strikes. There was a clear logic to the attacks. They had systematically disabled Earth's most advanced defensive technologies first, then communication networks, and finally military command structures. But they had deliberately avoided complete destruction of Earth's core infrastructure. "They're toying with us," Major Kato muttered, disgust evident in his voice. "No," Chen said, her eyes narrowing as she studied the pattern. "They're assessing us, looking for something specific." She turned to face the assembled leaders, the remaining military commanders, scientists, and government representatives who had survived the initial assault. "I believe they want to see how we respond under pressure, whether we break or fight back." General Okafor crossed his arms. "With what? Our most advanced weapons barely scratched their hulls." Chen's expression hardened. "Then we need something they aren't expecting." The meeting that followed lasted 17 hours. Representatives from every surviving nation contributed to the plan that emerged. It was unprecedented in human history. A unified response with no dissenting voices, no political maneuvering. Humanity stood as one for perhaps the first time. As dawn broke over the ruins of what had once been Geneva, the decision was made. 3 days later, Commander Chen stood in the newly established war room beneath the Himalayas. The mountain facility had been built decades ago as a doomsday bunker, but had never been fully activated until now. "The message is prepared," announced Communications Director Habib. "All remaining satellites and deep space arrays are aligned. We can broadcast directly to their fleet." Chen nodded. "And Project Supernova?" Dr. Kessler, who had aged visibly in the past week, stepped forward. Her team of quantum physicists had been working without rest. "The prototype is operational. We've never tested it at this scale, but the simulations suggest it will work. And the power requirements. We've diverted energy from every remaining nuclear facility globally. It will be enough for one deployment. Chen took a deep breath. This was humanity's final card. A weapon developed in theoretical labs but never intended for use. Based on principles of quantum entanglement, it could theoretically create a cascading wave of destructive energy capable of reducing matter to its component atoms across vast distances. The science was still not fully understood, even by its creators. "Begin transmission," Chen ordered. The message was simple, broadcast in mathematical sequences that would be universally understandable, followed by visual representations, and finally translated into every human language. Its meaning was unmistakable. This is humanity's final communication. One more attack against Earth or any human settlement will trigger our complete response. We have analyzed your technology and developed countermeasures that will ensure mutual destruction. This is not a negotiation. This is your only warning. Attached to the message were carefully selected data packets, just enough information to suggest that humans possess technology far more advanced than they had deployed thus far. It was a bluff, but one backed by the desperate determination of a species fighting for survival. Message transmitted. Habib confirmed. Now we wait. The response came 12 hours later, not in words or recognizable symbols, but in action. 3 alien vessels detached from the main fleet and accelerated toward Mars. "They're calling our bluff," General Okafor said grimly. Chen watched the tactical display as the alien ships approached the red planet where 5,000 human colonists maintained a tenuous presence. "No," she said quietly. "They're testing the boundaries, seeing if we meant exactly what we said." "The Mars colony is civilian," Dr. Emerson protested. "Mostly scientists and their families." "Prepare Project Supernova," Chen ordered, her voice tight with controlled emotion. "But hold for my command." The alien ships entered Mars orbit, taking position directly above Olympus Station, the largest human settlement on the planet. Minutes ticked by in agonizing slowness. "Commander," Major Kato called out suddenly. "We're receiving a transmission from the alien fleet. It's different from anything they've sent before." The message appeared on the main screen, not in words, but in a series of mathematical equations followed by visual imagery that showed stars exploding, planets crumbling, entire solar systems reduced to dust. The meaning was clear enough. A demonstration of power, a threat orders of magnitude beyond what they had already shown. "They're showing us what they could do," Dr. Emerson whispered. "If they wanted to, they could destroy not just Earth, but the entire solar system." Chen's expression didn't change. "Send our response." A single image. Earth standing alone, surrounded by a field of energy, with a timer counting down. The message was clear. Approach further, and the countdown begins. For 23 minutes, nothing happened. The alien vessels remained in Mars orbit, motionless. Then, without warning, they fired. Not at the Mars colony as everyone had feared, but at Phobos, Mars' small, irregular moon. The blast tore through the tiny satellite, shattering it into countless fragments that began raining down toward the Martian surface. "They destroyed Phobos as a demonstration," General Okafor said. "The debris will impact Mars within hours. The colonies don't have sufficient shielding. Evacuate as many as possible to the deep bunkers," Chen ordered, "and activate all remaining defense platforms to intercept the largest fragments." As the command center erupted into frantic activity, Chen moved to a private communication terminal. She had one more card to play. A desperate gambit. "Connect me to the Artemis base," she instructed the system. The screen flickered, revealing the face of Colonel Diana Reyes, commander of humanity's secret lunar facility. Unlike the public colonies that had gone dark during the initial attack, Artemis had remained operational, shielded beneath the lunar surface, and equipped with experimental technology. "We've been monitoring the situation," Reyes said without preamble. "The quantum link is still secure." "Is the mirror array operational?" Chen asked. Reyes nodded. 96% capacity. If you're asking what I think you're asking, it's never been field tested. We're out of options, Diana. The next strike will be against Earth directly. I need to know if you can deflect their energy weapons. Colonel Reyes was silent for a moment. The mirror array was designed to redirect solar radiation for the lunar greenhouses. Theoretically, its metamaterial surface could reflect even their energy weapons, but the power surge would likely destroy the array after a single use. One use might be all we need, Chen replied, to show them we can counter their technology. And if it fails? Chen's expression was grim. Then Project Supernova is our last resort. As they spoke, the alien vessels completed their destruction of Phobos and began moving again, not back to their fleet, but toward Earth. The final confrontation was approaching. Begin full evacuation to the deep shelters, Chen ordered as she returned to the command center. And prepare all remaining defensive systems. Across what remained of human civilization, people moved underground. The shattered remains of cities stood abandoned as civilians descended into subway systems, mine shafts, and purpose-built bunkers. Military personnel manned what defenses remained, knowing they likely faced certain death. In orbit, the few surviving military satellites reoriented themselves, their weapons systems charging for one final stand. On the lunar surface, hidden beneath the regolith, Colonel Reyes' team prepared the experimental mirror array, calibrating its reflective surface to match the specific energy signatures of the alien weapons. And deep beneath the Himalayas, Commander Chen watched as the alien ships approached, carrying with them either humanity's destruction or the beginning of a new chapter in their history. Project Supernova stood ready, a quantum weapon of last resort that might destroy not only the enemy, but tear a hole in the fabric of space itself. The alien vessels entered Earth orbit 27 hours later. They moved with deliberate slowness, as if giving humanity time to absorb the inevitability of defeat. 7 massive ships, each capable of destroying a continent, positioning themselves strategically around the planet. They're in formation, Major Cato reported. Energy readings suggest they're charging weapon systems. Chen nodded, her decision already made. Activate the lunar mirror array. Focus all remaining defensive fire on the lead vessel. And, she paused, looking around at the faces of those who had fought alongside her. Prepare Project Supernova for immediate deployment if the mirror fails. The final battle for Earth's survival had begun. The reckoning. The alien warships hung in Earth's orbit like obsidian daggers against the blue-white glow of the planet. Commander Lyra Chen felt a strange calm as she watched the tactical display. Humanity stood at the precipice, facing an enemy of overwhelming technological superiority. Yet in this moment of crisis, she found clarity. Energy spike detected in the lead vessel, reported Lieutenant Park, her voice steady despite the fear that permeated the command center. They're preparing to fire. Lunar mirror array is online and tracking, Colonel Reyes confirmed through the quantum-secured channel. Her team on the hidden Artemis base had worked miracles to repurpose the experimental technology. Chen's eyes remained fixed on the display. Wait for my mark. She needed perfect timing. The mirror array would only function once before the immense energy overloaded its systems. The command center fell silent as the alien ship's weapon systems reached critical charge. Energy readings spiked off the charts, suggesting a blast far more powerful than anything they had deployed in their previous attacks. They're not aiming at a military target, Dr. Emerson said suddenly, analyzing the trajectory. Their target is the Atlantic Ocean. An impact of that magnitude would create a tsunami that would devastate every coastal city in Europe, Africa, and the Americas. Chen nodded grimly. They're still testing us, seeing if our threat was genuine. She opened a direct channel to Artemis base. Colonel Reyes, on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Engage. On the lunar surface, hidden beneath meters of regolith, the mirror array activated. Its surface, composed of quantum-aligned metamaterials developed through decades of research, shifted to match the exact frequency of the alien weapon. As the enemy fired their devastating energy beam toward Earth, the mirror intercepted and reflected the blast with perfect precision, redirecting it toward the alien vessel that had fired it. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The alien ship, unprepared for its own weapon to be turned against it, took the full force of the blast. For a moment, the vessel seemed to absorb the energy, its hull glowing with an intense violet light. Then, with a silent flash visible from Earth's surface, the ship's shields collapsed. The energy tore through its structure, splitting the massive craft into fragmenting pieces that began to drift apart in Earth's orbit. "Direct hit," Major Cato exclaimed, an edge of disbelief in his voice. "Their lead vessel is destroyed." A cheer went up from the command staff, quickly silenced by Chen's raised hand. "This isn't over," she cautioned. "We just killed one of their ships. They have 6 more, and we've just revealed our only functional defense." As if confirming her words, the remaining alien vessels began to move, spreading out into a wider formation. Energy readings indicated they were charging weapons simultaneously. "The mirror array is offline," Colonel Reyes reported from Artemis. "Components are fused. It can't be restored." Chen had expected this. "Understood, Colonel. Initiate Phase 2. Throughout the solar system, humanity's remaining military assets moved into position. The surviving orbital platforms around Earth, the hidden defense installations on Mars, and even the civilian ships that had been hastily retrofitted with weapons systems all locked onto the alien fleet. It wasn't much compared to the enemy's firepower, but it didn't need to be. They only needed to buy time. All stations reporting ready. General Okafor confirmed, though I wouldn't call this a battle plan so much as a suicide mission. "It's not about winning conventionally," Chen replied. "It's about demonstrating that we can hurt them, that any victory they achieve will come at a cost." The alien fleet fired. 6 simultaneous energy beams streaked toward Earth, targeting major population centers across the globe. Earth's defensive systems responded, intercepting some of the beams with concentrated counterfire. The lunar surface erupted as hidden missile silos revealed themselves, launching advanced kinetic projectiles toward the alien vessels. But it wasn't enough. 4 of the alien beams penetrated Earth's defenses, striking Beijing, New Delhi, Cairo, and Mexico City. The impacts were devastating, creating massive craters where metropolitan centers had stood. Billions of lives extinguished in seconds. Chen watched the destruction with a face carved from stone. She had known this was coming, had prepared for it. The majority of those cities' populations had been evacuated to deep shelters, but the loss of life was still catastrophic. "They've made their decision," she said quietly. "And so have we." She turned to Dr. Kessler, who stood by the supernova control station. "Initialize the quantum sequence." Dr. Kessler nodded solemnly and began the activation procedure. Project Supernova had never been meant for actual deployment. It existed as a theoretical last resort, a weapon so devastating that its use could never be justified except in the face of extinction. "Quantum entanglement matrix charging," Dr. Kessler reported. 30%, 40%. On the tactical display, the alien fleet regrouped, preparing for another coordinated strike. Earth's remaining defenses continued to fire, more to make a statement than with any real hope of victory. A lucky hit from a Mars-based railgun managed to penetrate one alien vessel's shields, causing visible damage to its propulsion system, but the ship remained operational. "They're targeting our remaining command centers," Major Cato warned, "including this facility." Chen nodded. "Expected. Continue evacuation protocols for non-essential personnel." She turned to the communications station. "Transmit our final message." The message was brief, broadcast on all frequencies in the same mathematical language they had used before. "You were warned. What follows is your choice." "Quantum entanglement at 80%, Dr. Kessler continued. 90%. Matrix stabilized. Supernova is ready for deployment." Chen took a deep breath. This was the moment that would define humanity's future, or end it entirely. Project Supernova worked by creating a quantum entanglement field that linked specific atomic structures across vast distances. Once activated, it would cause the targeted matter to undergo instantaneous molecular destabilization, essentially coming apart at the atomic level. The technology was imprecise, unpredictable, and potentially catastrophic. It might destroy only the alien fleet. It might tear a hole in space-time itself. But facing extinction, the risk had become acceptable. Target all alien vessels, Chen ordered. Exclude Earth and lunar coordinates from the targeting matrix. Dr. Kessler made the final adjustments. Targeting complete. Awaiting your command. The alien fleet fired again. This time, their combined energy was directed at a single target, the Himalayan facility where Chen and her team were headquartered. The mountain above them shuddered as the first blast struck, rock melting under the intense heat. Warning lights flashed throughout the command center as systems began to fail. Structural integrity at 40% and falling, reported the facility's eye. Complete failure estimated in 3 minutes. Chen looked around at her team one last time. It has been an honor serving with you all. Then she turned to Dr. Kessler. Activate Project Supernova. Dr. Kessler pressed her palm against the quantum-secured activation panel. May whatever gods exist forgive us, she whispered as she initiated the sequence. For exactly 2.7 seconds, nothing happened. Then reality itself seemed to fold. From the perspective of those watching from Earth's surface, from the lunar colonies, from the surviving outposts on Mars, the effect was like watching space itself ripple. A wave of distortion spread outward from a point near Earth's orbit, engulfing the alien fleet. The massive ships didn't explode. They simply came apart, dissolving into constituent particles that scattered across space in a glittering cloud. In the command center, the tactical display showed all 6 remaining alien vessels disappearing simultaneously. Then, beyond the orbit of Jupiter, something unexpected happened. The main alien fleet, dozens of ships that had remained in the outer solar system, began to disintegrate as well. The entanglement effect is propagating beyond our targeted area, Dr. Kessler reported, her voice tinged with awe and horror. It's affecting ships with similar atomic structures across the entire system. The command center fell silent as they watched the complete annihilation of their enemy. The weapon had exceeded all theoretical projections, creating a cascading effect that targeted only the specific atomic arrangement of the alien vessels, leaving everything else untouched. It worked, Major Cato said finally, breaking the silence. Too well, Chen replied, her expression troubled as she watched the destruction continue to spread. Shut it down. Dr. Kessler shook her head. I can't. The reaction is self-sustaining now. It will continue until it runs out of compatible matter to affect. For several tense minutes, they watched as the effect spread throughout the solar system, dissolving every trace of the alien fleet. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, it stopped. The quantum field collapsed, leaving only scattered particles where the mighty Armada had been. All alien signatures have disappeared from the solar system, General Okafor confirmed, reviewing the data from their long-range sensors. Project Supernova has exceeded expectations. Chen nodded slowly. Begin damage assessment. I want reports from all surviving colonies and outposts. She turned to Communications Director Habib. And monitor all frequencies. If there are more of them out there, they may attempt contact now. The hours that followed were chaotic as humanity began to process what had occurred. The devastation on Earth was catastrophic. Entire cities erased, billions dead or displaced. Yet civilization had survived. The deepest bunkers had protected enough of the population to rebuild. The colonies on Mars and the Moon remained largely intact. 3 days after the deployment of Project Supernova, as Chen was reviewing reconstruction plans in what remained of the command center, a message arrived from the Deep Space Monitoring Station at Titan. Commander, Major Cato said, his voice strangely subdued as he handed her the data tablet. "You need to see this." The message had been transmitted from beyond the heliosphere, from a location near what humans called the Oort cloud. Unlike the previous alien communications, this one had been carefully translated into multiple human languages. Its content was brief. "The test is complete. Humanity has proven its resolve. The quarantine is lifted. Welcome to the galactic community." Attached to the message were star charts, navigational coordinates, and basic information about dozens of spacefaring civilizations. "It was a test," Dr. Emerson whispered, reading over Chen's shoulder. "All of this, the attack, the deaths, it was a test." Chen's hand tightened around the tablet, her knuckles white. "Get me a secure channel to all surviving government representatives. Immediately." Within the hour, Chen addressed what remained of Earth's leadership. Her face was composed, but those who knew her could see the carefully controlled fury behind her eyes. "We have received confirmation that the attack on our planet was a test administered by an alliance of advanced civilizations," she explained. "Apparently, they do not permit new spacefaring species to join their community unless they demonstrate both the will and capability to defend themselves. We have now passed their test." The response was predictable: outrage, disbelief, calls for retribution. Chen let them vent their anger before continuing. "I share your feelings. Billions of our people died for this test. But we must consider our position carefully. We now possess technology that can destroy any species that threatens us. Project Supernova has proven more effective than we ever imagined. And we have been invited to join a galactic community with resources and knowledge beyond our comprehension." She paused, letting her next words carry their full weight. "I propose we accept their invitation. With conditions, we will join their community, learn everything we can, and ensure that no other emerging civilization ever faces what we endured. And we will make one thing absolutely clear. Earth remembers. Humanity does not forgive tests that cost billions of lives." As the debate raged on among Earth's leaders, Commander Lyra Chen stood at the viewport of the damaged command center, looking up at the stars that now represented not just wonder and exploration, but a community humanity would soon join, not as supplicants, but as equals who had proven their strength in the most devastating way possible. The message humanity would carry to the stars had changed. No longer just a warning that one more attack would mean complete destruction. Now it was a promise. Never again would any species use Earth or its people as pawns in their games. Humanity had survived its trial by fire, and the galaxy would soon learn just how seriously humans took their promises.